Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about these two unconventional, although you could say that nowadays they are pretty conventional, but at the time they were pretty unconventional products, the Surface Pro and the iPad Pro. So I got the Surface Pro 4 in 2016 for college, and I wanted this to be like my only college laptop slash tablet. The thing that I would put all of my books in, I would take all of my notes in this with the Surface Pen that at the time was included in the box. So this is why I bought it. And I bought the Core i5 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage version, which I probably should have opted for the more expensive model, the 8 gig 256 gigs. But I didn't because I thought I'm not going to be doing anything heavy on it. So I went with the cheaper one, the 4 gig RAM version. But honestly, it was kind of disappointing. At the time, there were a lot of updates. Like every week there was a new update, which was kind of intrusive. But the thing that really kind of bummed me out about the whole experience was the pen and the pen experience overall. So what I mean is that pretty much the only app you can use for taking notes on a Surface device or on any Windows device is the Onenote app. Now there are two versions of the Onenote app. There's the Windows Store version, the faster version, let's say, or the more optimized for tablets version. And then there's the actual full version of desktop OneNote, which I don't really use that much because it just doesn't really seem well optimized for a tablet experience. So I went with the Windows Store version, and there were quite a few problems at the time, and still there are some issues or like shortcomings that OneNote still hasn't been able to fix for some reason. So here's what I mean. I wanted this to be a good handwriting experience, something that could rival a pen and paper, right? But here's the thing, here's the disappointing part. You can't annotate PDFs with OneNote. It just doesn't let you do that. The only thing you can do to annotate PDFs is to open the PDF in the Edge browser, which is a really weird decision when you think about it. And I don't really want to use my browser to annotate PDFs. I don't know exactly why, but I don't want to use my browser to annotate PDFs. And like, I'm gonna leave it at that. Using Edge wasn't a good experience to annotate my PDFs, and there was no way to sync it with my notes. I wanted to have my notes and my books in the same application, but that just wasn't possible with OneNote. Also, the bigger issue, maybe, at the time at least, was the syncing. The syncing didn't work half the time. I lost a lot of my notes actually because of them not being able to sync. And also when I wanted to like share my notes with someone, I thought it was going to be like much easier than like taking pictures of my actual notes like on paper and then sending it to someone else. But it wasn't. The links didn't work. I had to like add them to be able to view it sometimes, and sometimes they would see something different. I don't exactly know what the problem was, but it wasn't as straightforward as like copying a link and then sending it to someone and they would be able to instantly see it. That wasn't the case, although it really should have been the case. So sometimes I actually ended up taking pictures of my notes here and sending it to the person I wanted to send it to, which is like ridiculous for a device like this and for an experience that this device promises. So OneNote has a lot of issues. Other than that, like there are some issues with the pen itself. The pressure sensitivity, I could never find the sweet spot. And sometimes I just wanted to turn it off completely, and it just doesn't let you do that. You have to have the pressure sensitivity on. And even if you go to the Surface app and like lower the pressure sensitivity curve, I tried to mess around with it, but I still couldn't find the sweet spot to have like no pressure sensitivity in OneNote. I didn't like the pressure sensitivity. I could never find the lines that I wanted in OneNote, which seems like a weird complaint, but like, I mean, it was my experience. I didn't enjoy writing on OneNote. So far I've been talking about the app, but now let's talk about the hardware. This pen is garbage. And let me explain. The eraser functionality is awesome, right? It's still the unique part about this that no other pen has been able to, well, no other major stylus has been able to copy it. The nib isn't good. It definitely has a decent amount of friction when you're writing on the screen. That's great. Out of the box, it feels much more like a pen and paper than like the iPad does on the glass. But the thing is that it's very inaccurate, because when you are like writing on the screen, you have an angle, right? You have an angle between the pen and the screen. But this angle means that where the pen is touching the screen, which is like right at the end of the nib, it's in a different place from where it actually registers, right? Because where it registers is at the connection point of the nib to the body of the pen. But you are not touching the screen on that pixel that it's registering. You are touching the screen, or the pen nib is touching the screen a few pixels to the side of where it's registering. So you can never get the line that you actually intend unless you use it like this. Because in this way, both the nib and where it registers are going to fall on the same spot. So you can imagine how distracting and how like stupid this is, right? So there's that. All in all, really bad handwriting experience. And in general, a really bad note-taking experience. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that on the surface. Because I was so disappointed in specifically the note-taking aspect of this device, I went ahead and got a 2017 iPad Pro with the first gen Apple Pencil, which I have it somewhere around here, with the stupid way that it used to charge from like the bottom of the iPad. But immediately, and I bought Notability for like $12, I think. Immediately I saw a difference, a huge difference. And I also bought this matte screen protector, which really helped the glass to glass feel that is not really great when you're using an Apple Pencil if you don't have a screen protector. So it was great. I added the screen protector. It definitely felt even more like pen and paper than the Surface did. It even sounded like pen and paper. So the Notability app is like miles and miles ahead of OneNote, right? I'm gonna probably make a separate video talking in depth about like the differences between the two apps, but it was like a night and day difference in terms of the backup, in terms of the tools that it gave you, in terms of PDF annotation, in terms of how fast it was. Everything was just miles and miles better than OneNote. And then when you factor in the Apple Pencil, it's much, much more accurate. It has much less latency. It's lighter, but it doesn't have the eraser functionality, which right now you can kind of remedy that by the double tap function of the second gen Apple Pencil. But at the time there was no such thing. And the way it charged was kind of stupid. Still, the Surface wins in terms of charging, because you just put in a quadruple A battery inside, and like it's going to remain functional for like 2 years or something like that. But in general, the experience of note-taking and PDF annotation on the iPad was just so much better than what I experienced with the Surface Pro. And that alone made me not really think about the other functionalities of the device, but because the main thing that I wanted was a note-taking machine, right? I don't really type that much on the go. The only thing I need at the university is to have something, a digital notepad that I can put all of my books on, all of my notes on, and have access to them anywhere on my phone, even in my computer, which Notability doesn't offer you that on Windows. But OneNote is supposed to do that, but it didn't really do that very well, so there is that. But I can definitely have access to my notes on my phone now. Of course, that needed me to switch to iPhone, but everything just worked. And really, that's it. This device has like disappointed me on multiple occasions. A lot of things just didn't work. The app wouldn't load. The double tap functionality of the pen didn't work, and now the button is like really mushy. A lot of things just didn't work the way you expected it. All right, and that was my main problem with this device in general, and also with the note-taking experience. So I went with the iPad, the 2017 iPad Pro, which broke sadly, and then I had to like upgrade to the 2018 model, which I'm very happy about. So just for note taking, this was I don't know, 10 times better than what the Surface offered. I can't really slide that in now. So when this broke, I had to like upgrade to the 2018 model, and like you can already tell by the great reviews that are out there about this machine. It's an amazing device, especially for students who want to do note taking. And now, even if you want to do some typing, which for $300, I think it adds like a lot of value. The new, to this already great value machine. Like, yeah, I said it. The iPad at $800, the iPad Pro, is great value. It's super powerful. The speakers are amazing. The camera is pretty decent. It's got Face ID, the display is gorgeous, and it's 120 Hertz, so you can't find it anywhere else, at least not on any other Apple device. And the battery is awesome, the pen is amazing, and you have the functionality to add the Magic Keyboard to it if you want to increase the functionality of the device, which is already pretty potent and really powerful. It rivals some MacBook Pros in terms of raw power, so great device overall, and I would definitely pick this over the Surface any day as a student. Now, of course, if you do a lot of programming, or if you have like some specific apps that you can't really find on iOS, well, yeah, I guess you really don't have a choice but to go with either a MacBook or a Surface device. But if you are a student, go with the iPad. Don't even go with a MacBook or any other Windows device or any other Mac. Go with the iPad. You will not be disappointed, again, unless you have some very specific software that you need to use. Right? Other than that, for anything else, studying, note-taking, even typing, this is a better machine. Well, it's not better for typing, but it can do that, but it definitely is better at taking notes and reading books. So, can't recommend this enough. And stay away from the Surface. I'll tell you why in another video. All right, so thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around, and yeah, that's been it. Hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.